The Knicks have 2 picks, 19 and 21. They'd love to package those together to move up into the late lottery. Let's say they can't. And let's say they're at number 19. You got Julius Randle, you got RJ Barrett, you get Quickly, you get Tibbs, a head coach. You're trying to build this thing out. The Knicks don't necessarily need any one thing except for shooting. What direction do you think they should be going here, Kyle? Is there a player type, and who are a couple of players that might fit that profile for the Knicks at the 19th pick?
They're in a position to get a lot better this offseason, honestly, because if we assume that their defensive structure stays in place and then we're going to supplement it, and maybe you compromise a little bit by adding younger players, you'll have to bring them along and get them up to snuff defensively, things like that. There are 2 players that I feel like if they could come away with both of these guys, it would be a big win. I've liked Chris Duarte for them because I think he's going to be ready to go quickly. I also think that Trey Mann would be a good pick for them. I think that he's a guy that could just come in and give you offense. I think that he could score out of the pick and roll in the mid-range. He's crafty around the rim, has a lot of dribble separation. I think those are 2 guys, but I also think that like Jaden Springer is an extremely Tibbsy guard. I wouldn't be surprised if they took him in that range because he's just like a tenacious on-ball defender. But offensively, that's kind of where my mind is. I could see Trey Mann and Duarte working for them in the short term.
I think either of those could make sense. Less so Trey Mann, but I definitely love Duarte for them. In the green room chat, we've had a number of suggestions for the Knicks. Hayden said Sharif Cooper, too early at 19. I don't think it's too early for him. You know, a bit on the smaller, leaner side for a guard. He needs to improve his jump shot. You're nodding your head, Kyle.
It's
You're
bad.
Not too early.
It's bad.
Yeah, the jumper's bad.
It's rough.
But he shoots over 80% from the line. He has good touch near the basket. Those are at least positive indicators. But the form on threes is ugly right now.
It's extremely odd. He holds his guide hand up and then takes his shooting hand down really quickly. If you watch him shoot, he like has a hot stove thing that he does. It's ugly. I mean, and for him to be impactful or more than just like a sort of a late rotation guard type thing, I mean, like it's a Rubio type. I think that's the ceiling for a guard that can't shoot, that gives you playmaking. He'd have to become super savvy in all these other areas. I'm very, very skeptical about it, as talented as he is as a playmaker.
In the green room chat, Brian, among others, mentioned the name Jared Butler. That's a name that you hear connected to the Lakers a lot at the number 22 pick. So let's move on to them. What do the Lakers need here? Playmaking. They were ranked lowly in 3-point shooting last season. Who are some of the better shooters who can maybe handle the ball a little bit that might make sense for the Lakers if they stick at this number 22 pick?
There's a cluster of guards that are kind of score first. I feel like the actual like overall playmaking depth in this draft is a little low. Like I feel like there's a lot of guards and wings who are like heavy score first. And it's going to be a lot of these teams need the same thing. They need injections of like off-ball scoring, guys that can make good decisions, like the Sixers, the Suns, the Nets, the Nuggets, the Clippers, the Lakers. They all kind of need similar things. The Mavs too, even though they're not drafted. I like Butler there. I mocked him to the Lakers the other day. Smart player, movement shooter. He's going to be playing off the catch a lot, obviously with LeBron and AD at the elbows. Team defender wise, I think he can get there. I like him there. I think that they could even gamble and take like they could take there was a guy that I feel like they could pick up in the offseason. I feel like he might be like maybe like a two-way type thing, but Marcus Zagorowski is a player from Creighton, a pace guard, can shoot it, smart player.
Undrafted player, likely.
Yeah, I doubt that he's not going to be a first rounder, obviously, but he's a guy that I could see them kicking the tires on. What do you think about like Primo for the Lakers, taking a gamble on a guy like Primo?
Going a little bit younger, Primo, 6'4", out of Alabama, only 18 years old. That dude can stroke threes, man. So, you're adding that. So at his age, the question would be, how much do you feel like he can survive and contribute on defense in a playoff situation as a rookie? That would be the number one question that you ask yourself if you're the Lakers, because with Primo, the incentive is if you feel like he can help now, like let's say by April and May, you think he's ready defensively, there's upside long-term because he's shown some skill off the bounce, Kyle. And that's what makes Primo one of those guys that's appealing in the back end of the first round. Do you view him as How do you view him? I guess is a good question to ask, because a lot of people love him and they love the upside and the flashes that we see. There's a lot of people that kind of view him as just an undersized wing.
I think if he had stayed in college another year, he'd probably be getting picked a little bit higher, at least a little bit higher. He'd be
Maybe
in the
late
convers-
lottery, you think?
That'd be high. I mean, I think it would probably be in that 20 to 15. Not, and maybe that would be a little high. Some of his warts may have showed up the more he was dependent on, because he was on a team with other primary handlers. A name that's getting thrown out in the chat that I think is interesting is Ayo Dosunmu. I mean, he's a guy who improved as a pick and roll player. He's a good athlete. He's not huge. He's about 6'5". I could see him guarding point guards. What do you think about him playing in sort of a catch and shoot secondary creator? Probably late rotation, I would say, with the Lakers. But what do you think about him being a contributor with the Lakers? Would that work?
With him, it's a little bit different than Primo. There's no question about the defense. You know,
Yeah.
he could come in right away, and you know he's going to grind, play hard. He's smart, experienced, 21 years old. He knows how to play defense. Can handle the ball at the right amount. He has not been a good spot up 3-point shooter though. He has not looked comfortable there. It would have a lot to do with like how good has he looked in workouts. How do we feel that's going to translate to game situations? But for the Lakers here, I wonder how much they're actually going to stick there though at number 22. We're mocking this, scenario if they stay at 22, but there's the reports about Eric Bledsoe being a possibility if he gets bought out by Memphis. There's the Buddy Hield stuff that's floating out there, with them possibly offering Kyle Kuzma and Montrezl Harrell if he opts in, or Kyle Kuzma with Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Would the Kings want number 22?
Why would the Kings do that? I don't see. That seems like a no-go for me if I'm the Kings.
Yeah, the Kings would probably want number 22 in that scenario. So if you're the Lakers, you might not even have a pick at number 22. But it's pretty clear what they're angling for. All the Westbrook stuff, all like the Lillard stuff, all the playmakers and guards that they're trying to go for. They're trying to add somebody who can handle the rock. Whether that comes in the draft or the trade, we'll find out.